Our topic for today is angle addition. The first step is to list down all necessary concepts needed for the proof. The first concept is definition of congruent angles. Angles are congruent when they have the same angle measure. You use this if the previous statement states that two angles are congruent. The second concept is angle addition postulate. If a point lies on the interior of an angle, that angle is the sum of two smaller angles with legs that go through the given point. This postulate is used when the statement shows two angles that add up to a bigger angle, also known as the sum of the two angles. The third concept is transitive property. Transitive property is also known as substitution. You use this when you replace or substitute values. The fourth concept is symmetric property. Symmetric property is basically when you transpose or switch the sides of the given. Now that we have written down all the necessary concepts, we may now proceed to proving. But before that, you have to assess the given. For this example, I will be using the flowchart proof. The flowchart proof makes use of a concept map kind of layout. Statements are placed in circles, and the reason is placed under the circle. The first thing you should write is the given. Here we can see that the two angles are congruent. Since the two angles are congruent, we can safely assume that these two angles have equal measurements. Here we will use definition of congruent angles. We use definition of congruent angles since congruent angles are equal. We can combine this statement and the second given to get the next statement. Since we substituted a side, we will use transitive property for this. The next two things I will write is based on the illustration given. Since the two statements include two angles being added, I will use angle addition postulate. By combining these three statements, we can formulate the next statement. Since there are repeated values, you may cancel them out to further simplify the statement. Lastly, I use the symmetric property.